So you could sit there all day long and tell yourself, yeah, I want to make a movie, but I'm not ready because of insert, excuse after excuse after excuse. And guess what? The more you do that, you're never going to grow. You're never going to learn, and you're ultimately just going to continue to be somebody who wants to make a movie and not somebody who has made a movie. Welcome back to How to Make Your First Feature Film. In this series, I'm documenting my journey of making my first movie with little to no money to chronicle everything that you need to know to get started and make it your first movie now. If you're new to this series, be sure that you go back and check out some of the previous episodes, which cover everything from writing your screenplay to getting started acting in indie film. In this episode, I want to answer a question that burns in the minds of many a young aspiring filmmaker, and that question is, when should I start? To that, I'll answer with yesterday. But the next best time is today. Start now with the resources that you have at your disposal, and you're only going to grow and get better from there. When I first fell in love with filmmaking, I was a student at the University of Mount Union. And when I was taking my first ever filmmaking class, I wanted to do a short film that involved gangsters. Well, that short film became Crossfire. And one of my original collaborators who I went to school with, Mac Gilbert, is still part of my creative team even to this day. On In the Hands of Fate, Mac is part of the team as one of our behind the scenes guys who's been capturing some of the footage that you've been seeing in these videos across the Franz Productions YouTube channel.
My name is Mac Gilbert, and I was kind of like the floater in Hands of Fate. I kind of got to get some footage of stuff behind the scenes. I got to slate a little bit, and I got to hold up the light. So I kind of got to work 3 different positions. We started out with Crossfire. I'll be honest, him and I were actually in a class together, and Crossfire was kind of a little bit of it was a class project. So we kind of went in there. We rolled the dice with some other students at Mount Union who really didn't have much experience acting. Don't get me wrong, they did a great job, and I'm still impressed with the way Crossfire even went out, because I'll be honest, we didn't even have the equipment that we had for this film when we were doing Crossfire.
Now, while I'll admit that Crossfire is far from a perfect film, I'm proud of it still to this day because it taught me a lot of lessons on set as a filmmaker of some things that do work and some things that don't work. And all of those lessons, the good and the bad, I carry with me onto projects even to this day.
Sam's filmmaking has evolved so much, from getting the proper equipment and using the proper techniques and directing. And I'll be honest, this is the 4th film I've been a part of with Sam, and I think every film, he's just gotten better and better, behind the scenes.
But to take these characters that I created 5 years ago when I knew nothing about making a movie and center my first feature film around some of the original characters from Crossfire with new interpretations is literally a dream come true.
Well, in Crossfire, you had Logan McGee and Connor Formack, who were 2 students at Mount Union. Don't get me wrong, they did an incredible job on that movie. I just remember thinking to myself, wow, with the acting we got, and they did a pretty good job, no experience, but let me tell you something, Steve and Keith, they're both phenomenal actors. And now we got a real Italian playing Rocco, which even makes it better. And Steve really is Rocco, and we got more experience, more experienced actors, more experienced crew members on this film. So as far as Rocco and Vic, I think they're going to take the role that Logan and Connor did and then take it to the next level.
The amount of nostalgia that I get seeing the growth between Crossfire and where we are today within the Hands of Fate really is something that keeps me in love with this process, loving the journey of making this movie, even when things aren't going so smoothly. Because things really haven't been all sunshine and rainbows on the set of In the Hands of Fate. And while I'm happy to say that it's gone a lot smoother than what I would have envisioned going into this project, I gotta say there's been some long nights. There's been some times where we've had scheduling conflicts, We had to even move one of our shooting days all together. And it's really a lot of hard work, and it can be very humbling at times if you have this really ambitious plan and schedule that can fall apart sometimes due to sometimes miscommunication, or sometimes things just run late and you run into unexpected problems on set, whether it's holding for different exterior sounds like lawnmowers or fireworks or what have you. There's always going to be some level of setback that you're going to have to anticipate. But when you really start to get through this process of making a movie, and you learn that hey, maybe shooting 9 to 10 pages a day is really ambitious, and that's why we can fall behind schedule at times. Maybe next time around, let's say we shoot aim at 5 pages a day and try to rework the schedule that way. I think it's really important that you just go out there and get started, because nothing that I'm doing today would even be possible if I didn't lay that groundwork all those years ago with some of my first short projects. And nothing that I do in the future is going to be possible without laying this foundation of my first feature film. So you could sit there all day long and tell yourself, yeah, I want to make a movie, but I'm not ready because of insert, excuse after excuse after excuse. And guess what? The more you do that, you're never going to grow, you're never going to learn, and you're ultimately just going to continue to be somebody who wants to make a movie and not somebody who has made a movie. And it's really important that you take those initial steps. Look at Crossfire and compare some of that with where we're at now within the Hands of Fate.
Now you, sir, believe I owe you some dough. And don't bother counting it. It's all there. You have my word on that.
Here. You earned it. Hey, you don't have to count it, unless you don't trust me.
Hey, look at that. Some good old blind trust. I knew I liked this guy. Thanks for doing business with me.
Look at that. Straight to business. Now, this is the type of guy I like to do business with. But let's not get too ahead of ourselves, huh?
Now, if that's not enough, I want to talk about what I consider to be film zero. I don't even have this movie available publicly. In fact, this was really, truly my first short film, even before Crossfire, because I made this during spring break of 2019, just when I was trying to, prepare myself for directing my first real short film. Grabbed a couple of my buddies, and ironically enough, the movie was called In the Hands of Fate. And I want to go ahead and just share a little bit from that short film and then compare it to what we've done with the feature film In the Hands of Fate, just so you can see just the night and day difference between when I knew absolutely nothing about making a movie, and it was my first time really trying to film anything like that, to where we are today.
Shut the fuck up, unless you want me to paint these walls with your blood. Alright, now here's what's gonna happen. Now shut the fuck up, unless you want these walls painted with your blood. Now here's what's gonna happen.
Gunner, I take it. Here's what's gonna happen. You're gonna drop the knife now. You're gonna get on your knees, and you don't fucking turn around.
Gunner, I take it. Drop the knife now. Get down on your knees. Don't you even think about turning around.
And you stay right where you fucking are. I can't have you running to the cops. I don't want to kill you, but I will if I have to.
And you stay right where you are too. I don't need to kill you, but I can't have you running to the cops either. You understand?
Who the hell are you, asshole?
You haven't figured that one out yet, Sherlock?
You know, Rocco won't like you fucking with one of his top guys. Who are you, asshole?
I'm the man that's gonna put you down like the dog you are.
I don't know what you're talking about. But you know, Rocco ain't gonna like you fucking with one of his top guys.
So as you can see, that's where the characters Donovan, Ash, and Gunner were originally birthed from. And I even got the same actor, Brandon Rice, to reprise his role of Gunner for this movie. But ultimately, when you look at that first short film, there's no easy way of saying it sucks. But that's okay. It needed to crawl so that Crossfire could walk, and eventually, over time, I could be running with, a lot more experience and knowledge and know-how learning from those mistakes. So in conclusion, just go out there and make that movie, and maybe one of these days I can even talk about it on the Indie Spotlight. But anyway, that's all I have for you here today. Remember, if you like this content and you want to see even more videos on indie filmmaking, you know what to do. Go ahead and subscribe, hit that like button, smash that bell for notifications so you don't miss any videos here on the Franz Productions YouTube channel. And if you are an independent filmmaker and you have some stories to share between your first short film and where you are now today and what you're working on, I want to hear about it down in the comments. Just, start the conversation. But anyway, guys, until next time, as always, that's a wrap.